This is a tutorial for making an image to go along with an interview or human interest piece. We're going to use GIMP today. So I've got this article here from Oprah interviewing Ellen. And the first thing we're going to do is go through and read and highlight phrases or quotes that are interesting to you. And then we're going to take those and copy and paste them to a new document. I've already done that here. So I have, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is all 1, so that's 5, 6. Okay, so here are all the quotes that I found and copied. And then I just pasted them right after another. So here's another one, and another one. So we want to just build a big text field. Cool. And then we can set that aside for a minute. And the second thing to do is to find an image of the person your article is about. So in this case, it's about Ellen DeGeneres, and I opened it up in GIMP. So here is my file up here, and this is what we're headed towards. All right, so let's go back. So here's my picture. Let's create a new file. I want to make sure it's big enough for the text to not get really hard to read later on. Okay, so 8 by 8 inches is pretty good. I've got it set to 300 pixels per inch. That looks good. Press OK. All right, we've got a new blank canvas. Let's go back. Select this, copy, and paste. And then we're going to use the scale tool over here to resize it because we're really interested in the portrait. So we can get rid of a lot of the extra torso that was showing in the background. Okay, cool. If you look over here, because we copy and pasted it, we've got the original background and then we've got this floating selection that's sort of hanging out on the clipboard. But if we press the green anchor button, boom, it just gets flattened down to the layer underneath.
The current local time is 5:30.
All right, so now what we want to do is right click and we're going to say duplicate layer. And let's turn the eyeball off on the top layer for a minute. And so now we're just looking at the bottom one. And we'll go up to filters and we're going to blur it and use a Gaussian blur because this is going to become a map for our text. So it knows what to curve around based on the lights and the darks. So the text will slant one way in areas of dark, and it'll slant the other way in areas of light. And that's fine. Press OK. If you wanted to, you could also increase the contrast a little bit because it does a little bit better. The displacement tool that we're going to use with the text does a little bit better with higher contrast. This image is already has good light and shadow, so it should be fine. But anyway, okay. So if you turn the eyeball back on the top copy, you can see the difference in the two layers. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to add another layer. Press OK. It's named text because that's what I named a new layer the last time, and it just saves that. as a default, and that's what I would have named it anyway. So I'm going to grab my text tool here, draw a bounding box around this frame, and that way the text won't go beyond this. If I just had clicked and started typing, eventually the line would have run off the screen and kept going this way. So I'm going to change my color to white so I can see it. Press OK. The size font is 30 here. That works pretty well. And I'm just going to come over here to this text field that I created and copy it. In GIMP, it's helpful to make all of your copy and pastes out of GIMP. The text function is a little bit slow here. And then paste. It's likely too big. Make it shorter, use a smaller font. Okay, let's try it with a smaller font. Like 20, maybe that'll do it. Sorry guys, hang on with me for a minute. I find the text tool to be a little bit jammed up. Okay, try it again. Edit, paste. Okay, you know what? It's there now. I just have the top layer turned on. Okay. Alright, cool. But I have this big gap here, and that'll actually show up later on. So just gonna backspace till that's gone. Here we go. Alright, cool. And that looks great. That's exactly what I want it to look like. So now I've got, when you add text in Photoshop, it works a little bit different. It automatically makes it a new layer. In GIMP, it doesn't, which is why we created a layer down here, and we need it to function as a layer to use the displacement map. So we need to...
Attention all travelers, it is important that you keep a close watch on your baggage and carry-on items. Do not leave items unattended at any time. Do not accept articles from unknown persons to carry onto aircraft. Maintain control of your carry-on items to prevent introduction of dangerous articles without your knowledge. Do not carry items belonging to others. Note that all bags are subject to search. Report any suspicious persons or unusual activity to your nearest law enforcement officer. Thank you and have a good flight.
Alright, so anyway, as I was saying, so I've just gone to layer and merge down, and it just flattened my text onto the layer that I had created. So I've got my background copy, which is the original looking photo, and I changed that very first layer I made to have a higher contrast with the Gaussian blur. Okay, so we're ready for the displacement map. Actually, let's do one more thing. Right click on all your layers, and we're gonna layer to boundary size. Resize. Or layer to image size, rather. Layer to image size, layer to image size, layer to image size. Okay, so if there was any overlap here, it would have trimmed it, and I think there probably was on the text a little bit, and it's important that they're working within the same exact frame. So let's do this next part, which is the cool part. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what's happening to the text. And we're going to go to filters and map, displace for the first input. We're going to select, if you look over here, these three things are these three different files. So we have to make sure we're working within the right file. And right now it doesn't have the right one selected. So I need to go up here. That's cool. The very first one I want to select is the one I blurred. Okay, so this is the map that we created. This is what it's going to pull all of its lights and darks from, and it's going to apply them to the text. So we select the text down here. Preview selected. You can hit split view to see like where you started and where the effect it's having on your text. Okay, let's try it again. I didn't see much of a change there. Cartesian, center displacement. Okay. There we go. Alright, let me take that back. And we'll do split view. Okay, so on the right you can see the text as it already was, and on the left you can see where it's starting to tilt in a little bit in some areas and then tilt back the other way in other areas. When you change the horizontal displacement, it automatically changes the vertical displacement. If you want to unlock it and experiment with them, I suggest that, because if you keep the vertical displacement lower with this use, the text is more readable. So for greater effect, I can keep playing around with the horizontal displacement and I can still read it because I've got the vertical displacement lowered. Yeah, and I just really like it. Maybe at 1 or none. And let's see. And you can see, like, look in the eyeball here. This super dark pupil has totally just bent the letter I so much. You can still read it, but I think that that's gone a little further than I want it to, so I'll take it back down to 8. Cool. Press OK.
Ladies and
That
gentlemen,
function.
it is important that you keep a close watch on your baggage and carry-on items. Do not leave items unattended at any time. Do not accept articles from unknown persons to carry onto aircraft. Maintain control of your carry-on items to prevent introduction of dangerous articles without your knowledge. Do not carry items belonging to others. Note that all bags are subject to search. Report any suspicious persons or unusual activity to your nearest law enforcement officer. Thank you, and have a good flight.
All right, so let's add a layer mask to the text. We can do that by right-clicking, add layer mask, add. We're going to copy our original photograph that has all the details and paste it. Actually, let's undo. We need to copy it and then select the mask, paste it, and once again you can see this floating selection. Press the anchor and it's going to anchor down to your last selection.
Attention in the terminal with Amelia Sanchez. Please go to any airport phone and dial 4012 for an important message. Once again, with Amelia Sanchez, please go to any airport phone and dial 4012 for an important message.
Okay, cool. So now if I turn off the very bottom one, you can see we've got sort of this gradation with our text it conforms to the value shifts from that original picture, which is really cool, but we can't see it very well yet. So I'm going to make one more layer, and I'm going to click my color swatch over here and make it black. You could do it in any darker color, but let's just do it black. And I'm going to click and drag that over. It's covered everything up because it's over top of the text layer in our layer window. If I click and drag it underneath, boom, there we go. All right. Hope you can enjoy that on your own with your own way cool project.